Stay dandy, baby. Who would have thought that a movie villain who was brought into the manga adaptation, who was incorporated into the anime adaptation, would eventually end up being one of the major villains of the Naruto and Boruto franchise? That's right, Boruto's body has officially been taken over by none other than Momoshiki Otsutsuki, and he is officially on the attack in the latest chapter of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. And this one was pretty solid if you were wanting to see some really cool action. And Momoshiki is officially fully in charge here. Not only is he utilizing all of these signature abilities of Boruto, but he's actually able to amplify them because he's completely weakened Sasuke, who has lost his Rinnegan eye, and now he's going in for the kill on Kawaki. But it's not exactly the kill, so to speak. He's trying to capture him, as he's actually going to do the same thing that Isshiki was planning on doing, getting someone to sacrifice to the Ten Tails so that he could grow a god tree, eat its fruit, and become incredibly powerful. Momoshiki has essentially been waiting in the shadows this entire time for this to happen, and since Kawaki's body is now, according to him, about 80% Otsutsuki, this plan is actually going to be able to work out in his favor. But that's what makes this battle all the more tense, as while Momoshiki does possess godlike power, he can't go full in on Kawaki for fear that he could potentially destroy him and his body, making him completely worthless for his entire convoluted plan to revive himself, as well as making himself even more powerful. But this chapter right here was pretty visually awesome and felt more like a classic chapter of Naruto, which I really did appreciate. And it's starting to feel a little more classic Naruto as well, and a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that Kishimoto himself is continuing to work on the series. And for that, I think that's pretty freaking great. But most of this chapter was relatively simple, essentially just Boruto's body being taken over by Momoshiki as he tries to capture Kawaki and everybody getting in his way. Whether that be Sasuke or Kawaki utilizing all of his abilities to transform his body into a number of different weapons, it all looks pretty freaking cool while it's doing it, but it's inevitable by the end of the chapter that eventually Boruto is going to be able to take over his body, especially with the fact that Momoshiki can only absorb so much chakra before this can actually go down, and they use that to their advantage in this battle, to the point where we get the big shocking part of the chapter where Boruto finally starts to take over and he ends up ripping off Momoshiki's horn at the top of his head, which I have to imagine is probably painful as fuck, but it doesn't matter. It brings Boruto back to his senses, and everyone finally gets to breathe for just a second, and now they have to come up with a plan to keep Boruto from being taken over by Momoshiki and the potential of what's going to end up happening to Kawaki. There's so many questions about the fact that apparently while Isshiki might unquestionably be gone, somehow his influence can still sort of change Kawaki's body with the fact that it's now become 80% Otsutsuki, which leads me to believe that it could potentially become even more powerful, but who knows? Maybe there's another ridiculous convoluted plan which would allow Isshiki to finally return to the series. But really, one of the biggest shocking things about this chapter has got to be the final panel, and it's incredibly cryptic. We don't know what's going on here. It pretty much ends with Sasuke staring down at Naruto, who may or may not be dead. I don't want to think that they're going to try and kill off the character in such an unceremonious way in the series, and I've heard a number of theories from a lot of people after reading this chapter saying that maybe it's not Naruto is dead, maybe it's Kurama who made the ultimate sacrifice by utilizing that form, and he is the one who is actually gone here. The fact of the matter is, Sasuke notices something different about Naruto, and while he doesn't have the Rinnegan anymore, he has that Sharingan, which is going to allow him to see the inner workings of what's going on with Naruto's chakra, and whether that chakra has faded, whether Kurama's chakra is gone, or Naruto is just straight up dead is a complete and total mystery, but it's one hell of an epic bombshell cliffhanger for this chapter, and I just don't know what's going to happen next. Like I said, I don't think that they're going to kill off Naruto this way. I mean, the biggest hint to this is definitely the beginning of the Boruto manga and anime series, where we have that time skip scene of a battle between Boruto and Kawaki, which the more and more you see it, you're starting to wonder, like, is it Boruto or is it Momoshiki who's actually in charge of his body at that moment. But it's all about that big line that Kawaki drops about what happened to the 7th, to Naruto, the Hokage. What could have potentially happened to him? Is this the moment where he could potentially have been defeated, incapacitated, Kurama could die? Inquiring minds want to know, and again, it's a great hook to get people to continue to read the manga series. But yeah, I just don't want to believe that Naruto is dead. Something about that is still strange, just saying that out loud. It's not uncommon for authors to make like a really big and bold decision to kill off its lead character. And while this is Boruto's series, Naruto is ultimately the backbone of the entire franchise. And it would suck so much for him to be killed like this. That's not to say that if he were to be killed, I wanted to see something a little grander and crazier, but it's just, I don't know. We only got to see that form for a little bit. It really wasn't all that special, and then he just got kind of sidelined. And honestly, to me, that's kind of disappointing. I really hope that that's not going to be the case for the character. That being said, this was a simple chapter with some really awesome action to it and some very, very shocking scenes. So what's the rundown on the latest chapter of Boruto, Naruto Next Generations? That's pretty much it. Like I said, I really wish there was a lot more to talk about in this chapter outside of the fact that Momoshiki is taking Isshiki's plan for himself, he's taken over Boruto's body, and he's going to continue to use Kawaki. Again, the sadness of all of this comes from the fact that Kawaki is a character who continues to just be used by everyone. He's never really had any true personal freedom throughout the course of his introduction or even anything in his backstory, and that makes him a very tragic character for the series, and I wonder how that's going to have an effect on him as the future of the series actually continues on. I will say that the relationship between Boruto and Kawaki has been remarkable, to say the least. How far they've come as not only friends and comrades, but even jokingly referring to each other as bro or brother. Again, it brings back the vibes of Naruto and Sasuke a little bit, but I have a feeling it's going to go in a much darker direction as the actual series goes on. Again, mostly due to that scene that was shown at the very beginning of this spin-off. It's really hard to see how all of that's going to happen and how much longer we're going to have to wait until we actually get to those events. But that being said, you know, artwork-wise, this was a cool chapter in terms of all the action. Boruto fighting, or Borushiki is really what I should be calling him, as he's battling against Kawaki, looked really damn awesome in this chapter, and even while missing an eye, Sasuke still continues to bring the heat, and he's a total freaking badass. He manages to help out a lot in this chapter, and again, proves how hardcore he continues to be. He hasn't lost that Sasuke edge, if you know what I mean. Like, he's still willing to kill Boruto if that means it will save him and everyone else. He will do that as his teacher. That is some hardcore freaking shit. I love the fact that Sasuke, while he has changed in some ways for the better, is still the hardcore character that he has always been, taking losing an eye in a completely, like, great stride. It does suck that he doesn't have those super awesome abilities anymore, not being able to use the space-time jutsu, as that's been one of the signatures of the character ever since he was brought back to Konoha Village and introduced again in the Boruto anime and manga series. So yeah, that does kind of suck. Still, I can't wait to see more of these instances where Momoshiki is going to try and take over Boruto's body. I think it's going to get more unpredictable as the series goes on. I think little by little we're going to see him popping up at the worst opportune moments to sort of like throw a wrench in all of the crazy things that are going to go on for the future of the series. But the fact of the matter is the hype is freaking real for the future here, and this was a solid action-packed chapter which ends with one hell of a cliffhanger. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with Naruto. I don't want the character to die. I don't want it to happen like this, but if it is here, whew, this is a bold and shocking decision. Otherwise, I really loved this chapter. I'm big on action, so this one really surprised me, and I especially loved that cliffhanger ending. Again, it's just got me so freaking anticipated for like the next big chapter of the series. And again, it's a monthly manga series, so damn it, we're just going to have to wait another month before we get it. But you heard my thoughts on the chapter. I really want to hear your guys. Make sure to sound off in the comment section below if you guys had a chance to read the latest chapter of Boruto, Naruto Next Generations. What did you think of the battle between Borushiki and Kawaki? What's up with Naruto? Is he dead? Is Kurama dead? Are they going to kill off this character? Is this a ruse? What do you want to see happen in the future of the series? Let's talk about this chapter and the future. Comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I cannot thank you enough for continuing to watch my videos, leave me comments and likes. If you did like this video, go ahead and use your Isshiki powers to hit that like button. Helps out these videos tremendously. Ensures more people can actually see my content when it is released. I would also like to take this time to thank all of my patrons. You guys are freaking incredible. You guys are the shinobi force of the Ace Guru channel. Not only are you watching my videos, commenting on them, liking them, but you're leaving me monthly donations, which I cannot thank you for enough. Remember, first-time donators, I'll review an anime series of your choice, as well as adding your name to this list of all of these awesome people. You guys are the producers of Ace Guru. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.